Well, welcome to CEC Fort Collins. I'm just gonna say you guys are probably it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so I wouldn't expect you to be all enthusiastic either. It's totally fine. We're gonna have lots of fun. I'll give you lots of information, and then you can be on your way and maybe go out to dinner. It'll be perfect. My name is Jolly Ann Beck. I am the Director of Advising. I'm also a CEC parent of 3, so I've gotten 3 through here. All from all ends of the spectrum. So I had one way at the top, one way at the bottom, and one right smack dab in the middle. And so I believe in this educational model. I love this educational model, and that's why I decided to come work for this school. So we will start with please hold. Okay, hold on for just a minute. I guess the slideshow doesn't want to work. It's gonna be really boring if you can't see the cool slides. Oh, I don't know, Cody. It was something about you coming up here. Okay, so we'll start with our pictures of our leadership team. You just met Cody Pierce, our head of school. We have 2 deans of academics. We have identified ourselves now as a 6 through 12. So we have 2 deans that are responsible at the high school and the middle school. So they are separated by subject area, not by school. So, you know, one math, one English, that kind of thing. Rebecca Feilman and Tara Oswald. And then the rest of our leadership team, most of you have already gone through admissions already. And then we also have our Dean of Students, Port Sheffield. He is in charge of behavior and safety and security here at the school. If you see Mr. Sheffield a lot, you might want to consider if your behavior is really towing the line. But he's a super nice guy. You'll see him around a lot, and he's the one who deals with the behaviors and keeps us safe. And his lovely assistant will be Ashley Prince. You will see her a lot. Our MTSS, that is multi-tiered system of support interventionist, and our campus monitor. 2 of the nicest people you'll ever meet. There's a nasty little rumor out there that charter schools don't have student services, and that's a big fat lie. So I'll introduce you to some of our special services team, student services team. Brooke Gilpin, special education, Katie Youngblood, Madeline Grigg for a 504 coordinator. 504 is where you get classroom accommodations, whether that be for a long-term disability, learning disability or something, or maybe you have a broken arm, you need someone to take notes for you. So sometimes those 504s are temporary. And we have 2 school counselors. Erica Kaler is our part-time school counselor. And then Kayla Beezer technically is a social worker. So 1.5 of those. They will deal, Erica and Kayla will deal with students, the social emotional type of support that students might need. And I'll explain how that works later. All right, I think one thing that probably the thing that sets us apart the most is the way that we do our advising. So in your typical traditional school, you have a high school counselor who is a master's in counseling. And so they deal with your academics as well as social emotional types things. We do just academic advising, academic and career advising. So we don't have master's degrees in counseling. That's what we have Kayla and Erica for. So we will meet with our students every single semester with their parent. So it is a parent required to be at the meeting so that we can collaborate on the student. The student is the one who has to do the education. So they have a lot of say in how that works. The parent is there because they know their student very well and they can help that student, help guide them. And then you have the advisor who then understands the academic plans and how to put them together and put that plan for the student to execute. We talk a lot about your career goals and what you want to do. And so we will try to put together an academic plan that really suits you as a student and what direction you want to go so that you feel like the classes you're taking matter and are taking you somewhere. You will meet with an advisor every semester, but the one you meet with this summer may or may not be the same one that you meet with that you were assigned with from the fall. But you will find out when you get links to schedule advising for the fall, you'll find out who you're assigned to. But sometimes in the summer we have vacations, you know, somebody might be gone for a week. And so the other advisors will take more. We just want to get people advised as quickly as we can so that you can move on with your summer and we can make sure you get everything that you need. All right. Some things, like I said, we are not counselors. We know the Front Range and Ames academic plans and pathways really, really well, but we don't work for those schools. We work for CEC. And then we have, although we don't have hundreds on our caseload like a traditional school does, because some students may never have even, I scarcely remember my high school counselor, but you will definitely be seeing your advisor. But our caseloads have increased over time. So I just wanted to manage expectations that although we can respond, it's probably not going to be immediately, but that's okay because you have this Wolf Welcome packet that will probably answer 90% of the questions that you might have. And so I would recommend as a CEC parent that you get yourself a little folder and you put that packet in there and you start putting things that you have. I know we have less paper these days, but putting things into that folder that you can reference later. I'll show you on the website where to get answers to your questions. And I don't say this to say don't email your advisor because that's not what I mean. I just know as a parent, if I know right where to find it, I don't need to wait for somebody to respond. So sometimes it's faster to find those things for yourself. All right, so this is what our advising center looks like. We'll take you to the very heart of advising, which is what we call an ICAP. So our ICAP is this document right here. You can see it's got 4 years on it. And this is where we put your academic plan. And then each semester that we meet, we go through and we fine tune this. So I might have a student who comes in and says they want to do engineering and then discover, I actually don't like math that much. I want to be a phlebotomist, right? So we go through and we tweak your academic plan every semester, and then we plan your classes for the following semester or the following year. One thing I'd like to emphasize is that these ICAPs, the I in ICAP is individualized. So you don't necessarily take classes just because you are a sophomore, right? We are going to placement test you, put you into classes to identify where you are and figure out where you can grow from there. And so your class plan, your academic plan, your courses for the semester might look different than your friends because you guys have different goals in mind. So one of the things that I love here being a parent, is the individualization of that. We do class selection by availability, meaning that we prioritize the seniors. So we usually make sure that they get advised first, then the juniors, then the sophomores. Reason for that being is that when you're a freshman, you have a ton of courses that you need to take, in those 4 years. Whereas a senior, this fall is almost done. So we have to make sure that they get into the courses that they need to finish. Like I said, we use placement exams to help get you into the right place. You should have all received a link and been able to schedule your placement testing if that was something that was required of you. So if that does not sound familiar to you, please let me know. We'll make sure we get you a scheduling link for placement testing. When you come to our meetings, there's some things that you want to be thinking about in between. So as a student, if you are not thinking about what you like and what you don't, and how you feel about classes, about certain subjects, about certain careers, we can't draw all of that out of you in just like half an hour, right? We really want you to be thinking along the way. So I'll give you an example. I have a student who might come in and say, I love art. I want to draw for a career. I want to be an illustrator. But then the student takes an art class and discovers, God, I really don't like drawing at all. I thought I did, and I really don't. But you know what I really love is my math class. I look forward to doing the homework. I totally get it. I'm helping other students in class. So paying attention to yourself and how you're doing in your classes, what you like, what you don't, can help you inform yourself on what kinds of careers. And then we can have talks about those. Oftentimes I will have a student who's maybe not doing well in a class, and we'll talk about, why is that? Do you hate the subject matter? Do you not understand? Like what's going on? So we try to dissect those things and help you kind of figure out, where is this going to go? One thing I love about CEC is that we don't view high school as a destination. It's a pathway to your destination. So we try to keep you forward focused and really looking at your future. But if you're not thinking about what you might want to do in between those meetings, it's going to be a really boring conversation. I always want to make sure you're doing that. And then also as parents, when you see your kids struggling or doing really well, have conversations with them so that they are mentally prepared for having those career conversations with us. We also have an app that's available to all our students called Zello. We can do career interest surveys, skills tests, things like that. I'll try to help you match up with careers. And then when you get in there, you can then look at the career. You can see how much you make. You can change that by state. You can see what kind of major you need in school to do that. If you need to go to universities to do that, you can even then click on those degrees and that'll take you to a page that will show you all the schools by state that have those programs. So it's a really cool application to help you kind of get into being forward focused and what you want to do after you leave here. One thing you all are going to get, you all should have, if not, come talk to me. You should all have a Front Range and Ames student number. So at some point when we meet with you, you are going to end up in a college class. Very, very, very likely. Like for instance, college art, all of our art classes are college art. We don't have a high school art class. So if an art class is what you want to do, you're going to need a Front Range number to do that because here on our campus, that's a Front Range class. So at some point, you're probably going to end up in a college class. So you want to make sure that you have those numbers available and the login information for that. So your login information for your Front Range account is your student number, which is awesome. You just have to remember the password. But the Ames one, they assign your username to you, so you need to keep track of those things. Another good thing to stick inside that envelope, or if you're very digital, make a note in your phone or a contact in your phone that has those with you. So when the time comes in an advising meeting and you need to get logged into those college accounts, we're able to do that because we will not have your login info. That's something that you have. Yeah, so we have lots to cover in those meetings, and I don't know, maybe I'm a nerd, but I totally loved doing those meetings. I thought they were great. So we'll show you about our CEC website and how to find very pertinent information will be in the families and students page. And most of what you'll want is in that student resources part. And this is what that looks like. So you can see what time does fourth period end, or what days do we have off this month? So we have all those things that you can go in there, reimbursement policy, directory for staff. So newsletters, so our communications that we send out, if you can't find the newsletter that was supposedly emailed to you, it went to junk, you can always go to the website and find it. All right, we take our safety and security very seriously here. So first, our safety and security starts in the parking lot. So first of all, everyone who parks in our parking lot has to have, unless it's a parent coming to the visitor section, you need to have a parking pass. And you have to get that from the bookstore, and there'll be signs up that explain all of that. There are parking fees that come with that, so that will be built into your Infinite Campus account. You'll be able to see that later in when the school year starts. And then you'll have to give them a license plate and proof of insurance when you get your parking pass. So when you're going into the parking lot, ooh, sorry, I did not mean to do that. Here's a map. So I don't know if you guys know this, but we have a bunch of teenage drivers here on our campus. Things can get dicey out there. So one thing we can do as adults to help them keep each other safe is to follow these rules. So when you come in from the traffic circle, stay on this side of the staff parking and don't go through the staff parking lot. And then when let's say you're the first one here because you're an early bird, you would want to go all the way down to the end. And now you're thinking like, oh, but Sally's legs are going to be so tired if she has to walk back to the front door. Trust me, it's good for her, because in about half a second, you could have 10 teenage drivers behind you. And that thing can back all the way up to Monte Carlo or all the way up to Harmony. So it's really important that you pull all the way forward so everybody's following suit and doing that so we can keep traffic moving through. It also makes it harder for the pedestrians because then there's a lot of confusion going on in the parking lot. So, and then when you do leave, you'll go all the way around the peripheral and not through the lanes, the aisles where the parking is. For obvious reasons, you got teenage drivers doing that, trying to park. Trust me, you do not want to be close to that. So just go around the peripheral. So. All right. And then last thing for safety and security, all students have to have an ID on them and visible at all times. So when the students come in, there's laptops set up at the front and they have to take their ID and they have to beep in, click a couple things and then move on their way. This is important because we need to make sure we know exactly who's in the building at any given time. We need to make sure that anybody who's here is easily identifiable as a student. There's only one point of entry and exit. Everybody goes in through the front door and leaves through the front door. And when they leave, they need to scan out. So they'll do that barcode on their way out. So this matters because if we have to do an evacuation drill, we need to know whether or not that student checked in. So last year we had, no, it's probably a couple years ago, I had a girl who beeped in, went to class, went to the bathroom and left the building. And everybody, we had an evacuation drill and we were all outside and it's freezing outside and nobody could come back in because we couldn't find this girl because nobody knew she left. So they really do check that list when they can't find a student to see if they're here. And we also want to make sure that when you think your student is here, we can say, yeah, they are here and they scanned in. So it's one of those minor inconveniences just to make sure that everybody is safe and accounted for. Right. I know you guys are surprised. We have expectations like a school. All right. So our graduation is expected, our educational model is set up so that a student can feasibly finish what they want and accomplish their goals within 4 years. So, and one of those things you absolutely have to have in addition to the minimum 20 high school credits is you have to have a certification or an associate degree or at least 60 college credits. So that's what makes an early college is that one requirement. We have to make sure that you've met that. And we'll talk more about what the details are of those options. Oh, and also that degree or certificate has to match with your career goals. So if you want to be a phlebotomist, but you get a degree in engineering, those two don't match, right? So I can't use your phlebotomy certification to count if you told me you wanted to be an engineer. So we really work hard with you to figure out what it is you want to do and try to steer you towards things that are going to get you somewhere when you leave here. It's not just to check a box. We want you to leave here and feel like you are taking a credential with you that's going to help you in the real world. So people often will ask, what kind of certificates are there? And I'm like, oh, there's a million. Like there's a bunch. So what I can best do is kind of explain the differences. We've got industry certificates and we've got college certificates. So, and sometimes those get intermixed. So the most common industry certificate that students will graduate with is a Microsoft Office Specialist Associate. And that's where you pass 3 exams in the Microsoft Office suite for 3 different applications. You get that. That's a graduation requirement. Anybody can get that one because that matches every single career. No matter where you go, you're going to use that, right? A college certificate would be something that's offered through one of our college partners. So there's certifications and all kinds of things. And then sometimes they get mixed together. So you're taking college classes to get a college certificate. So, but one example might be, say, a SolidWorks certification. You can get a SolidWorks certification for that software. That's an industry certification. But Front Range has their own SolidWorks certification where you take 2 college classes on SolidWorks, and then you are earning in those classes. You can take the exam to earn the industry certifications for 2 different ones, and you're getting the college certification as well. So sometimes they get intermixed. You don't have to remember all that though. We got you. We'll help you get it all figured out. And then there's 3 basic different associate degrees. So Associate of Arts, Associate of Science, and Associate of Applied Science. Associate of Applied Science is typically a degree that's a 2-year degree that is not meant for transfer to university. A student gets that and it is designed to help a student be ready for the workforce. Oftentimes those will be trades degrees, heating and air conditioning or automotive or welding. Those can be Associate of Applied Science because you're not going to go do those things and then go to university and finish your bachelor's degree in heating and air conditioning. That's not a thing. So an Associate of Arts, Associate of Science, those are essentially equal. It does not matter which one you get, but it does matter sometimes based on the classes that you take. So people get really hooked on, but I want to do a science, so I have to have an associate of science. That's not necessarily true. So it's really about the courses that you're taking and how they best fit into the categories that are requirements for those two different degrees. So I'll give you an example. I have a student who really wanted to get an Associate of Science, couldn't fit in the number of science classes or the right order of science classes or the right progression of science classes to finish that. So he does an AA. He still has basically all those classes. It's just now an AA because there was a certain little nuance in the Associate of Science that wasn't going to work in his academic plan. And you could take it from me, college advisors say they do not care if you got an AA or if you got an AS. They just care about the classes that you use to build it. So your advisor will know exactly the best way. There are some schools, there are some programs where if I have a student who wants to do computer science at CSU, what he needs is actually, or she needs is the Associate of Arts fits better for CSU. But if that student wants to go one of two different directions that CU Boulder has, an Associate of Science matches that one better. So, but they're doing the same stuff. You're right. So it just really depends on how the credits transfer. So just trust your advisor. They got you. They'll make sure that everything is exactly what you need. And the most important thing is that everybody needs the same. So there's a lot of variables and a lot of moving parts. For all those rigorous academics we've got free tutoring. So you just sign up for free on the website. I would highly recommend that you don't wait till the end of the semester to start getting tutoring. As soon as you start feeling like, oh, okay, I'm a little confused, that's when it's time to go to tutoring. And don't be afraid of tutoring. It's awesome that it's available. It's awesome that it's free. It's so easy to access. You should not be afraid of that. If you knew all the content in that class, you wouldn't need the class. So that's the whole purpose of it. So take advantage of that early and as often as you need to. And then we have Infinite Campus, and we'll get a little bit more into that, but you can monitor your students' grades. And please don't be the parent who comes into your advising meeting and looks at your student and says, I can't believe you're failing chemistry. How did I not know? I'm like, we're like halfway through the semester. If you're monitoring the grades, you would know. So I can say as a parent, it is so important, especially here, that you are engaged in what your students are doing and paying attention to their grades, paying attention to their missed assignments. We have a little phone app for Infinite Campus. We have a little phone app for Infinite Campus where you can set up notifications. So I would set it up so it would tell me every time a missing assignment happened and every time a grade was entered, regardless of what it was. So I was constantly getting these little updates, and I could send a screenshot and say, hey, why is this missing? I saw you working on that last night, or great job on that test. You did a great job. So if you're keeping track, it's going to make your life and your interactions with your student a lot better because you're going to be in the know and nothing is going to be so surprising for you. And I'd like to encourage you that if you have questions about grades, that you seek out the instructor because the instructor is going to know the details of what was handed in and what wasn't and what's sitting in their little folder going home to grade tonight. If you contact your advisor about the grades that are going on in classes, I don't have any information about that. The teacher is really the best person to ask about that kind of thing. And then also with grades, that train left the station. I can't remember what I was going to say. It'll come back around. Okay. In our school, I would say attendance is infinitely more important than in any other school. The reason being that most of our classes are semester-based classes. And so the reason that we're doing that is because we are preparing you for college coursework, which is done in one semester. So we're taking oftentimes your class is a year's worth of content in one semester. So when you miss one day, you're really missing two. And so attendance is really, really important. Otherwise, you're going to get behind really quick. But we also need to know when your student's not going to be here because we don't want you to think they're here and we think they're with you and they're actually nowhere. So it's really important that you go ahead and email or call the attendance line when you know your student is going to be out. And then it's really important that the student is the one that's connecting with their instructor from the beginning. Hey, I was out yesterday. I was sick. I'm really sorry. What did I miss? Can we arrange some deadline extensions? And having those conversations, getting your students comfortable, having those conversations themselves rather than depending on the parent to do those. Because again, we are trying to prepare the students for college coursework. And when you go to do college classes off campus, the the instructors are not allowed to talk to the parent. So it's really important that you train your student here. So one of the things I did as a parent was, you're having a problem, an issue, a missing assignment, whatever it is, go write the email and explain what the problem is. And then I have, my son let me read the email. I make sure that it's clearly communicated what's going on. And the email comes from them, but they copy me. So it makes them accountable and puts them in charge, and it keeps me in the loop. The teacher then knows I'm in the loop on what's going on. And then that way, everybody can collaborate to help the student get what they need, and whatever the issue might be can get cleared up much faster. And then when we have students that are with college instructors, they are unintimidated by going and talking to their college instructors because they've been practicing that here. So I really highly encourage that you do that from the very beginning. And then in addition, when our students go off campus or leave, graduate here and go to a university, they are really good at communicating with their instructors because they've been doing it for 4 years. So it's a really important skill that they'll need to learn. And then off-campus policy, everybody wants to know, can I stay on campus? Or can I go off campus? Of course you can, as long as you're not in 9th grade where your parents have forbidden it. So you've got to be in good standing, which means you're attending classes, your grades are good, because if you are, going off campus for lunch and then you're not coming back to class, we can revoke those off-campus privileges. And even if you're the most perfect student in the whole wide world, your parent can still say no if they don't want you to leave. So it's always at the last, the parent can opt out. They have the final say. But you are given the off-campus privileges unless otherwise there's a reason not to. All right, brace yourself. We have a lot of accounts. So you're going to have to keep track of a lot of accounts. But that's what I'm going to walk you through. So Canvas is where classwork is done. Your assignments will often be in Canvas. They will be submitted through Canvas. That's where most of your classwork is done in as far as the communication and things that are going on. Parents do not have access to Canvas. However, Canvas syncs with Infinite Campus every single night. So the teachers will enter the grades into Canvas, and then overnight, Canvas and Infinite Campus talk together, and then in the morning, the parent should be able to see that grade be updated. However, nothing stops a parent from saying, hey, can you show me your Canvas? And if you're seeing that there's an issue and they're not matching, let your teacher know, my grade in Canvas is not matching the one in Infinite Campus, because that just means there's probably some check boxes in there that have not been checked to make sure that that sync is happening overnight. And then we've got email, crucial advising resources. So in, what's it called, Anna? Modules, pages. What's it called, Sarah? In Canvas. Modules? Okay. I'm such a ding dong. We actually have our own advising module in there. So we're working on creating really important resources for you. So how do I register for a front range class? How do I register for an Ames class? How do I get a transcript? All these little things so we can put, guides in there for you so you have access to those in Canvas. And then we have email and Canvas. So you can be communicating with your instructors through Canvas or your CEC email. With us, you would use the CEC email. A lot of your emails are going to go through your CEC student account. So I know this is sort of the bane of everyone's existence, email, but I mean, how else are we supposed to get a hold of you? We don't have any other way. So you want to make sure you're checking your email on a regular basis and keeping track of those things. If your advisor emails you, I promise you, we do not spam you. So if your advisor emails you, it actually really matters. You need to respond. And then Infinite Campus, this is where the parents can see those grades, so you can get the app on your phone. And then Zello, we talked a little bit about earlier. That's one of the apps in our Microsoft account available for students. And then Parchment. So Parchment's one of those things you're going to set up your first day when you come for new student orientation on August 10th. And then you're going to forget that you did it, because you're not going to need a transcript until probably car insurance comes due, and they need to prove that you're got a good GPA or whatever, or a full-time student. And so one of those things you're going to want to write down and keep in your little folder. Also not an account that makes you change your password all the time. So that one should be pretty consistent and pretty easy. But you're going to come to a point when you're a junior or a senior and you need a transcript. So write that information down when you guys set that up. One of the things you do not want to do is connect your CEC student email to your parchment, because one day you're going to graduate and grow up and you might still need a transcript and you're not going to have your CEC email available to recover your password. So one of the first things you'll do with parchment is make sure that it is not connected to your CEC account and you're putting a personal email address in there. In fact, I just had a senior from 2025 email me today because he can't figure out his parchment. Like, you should pay attention. No, I helped him. It's all good. All right, and then we've got college student portals. In addition to all those things we're doing at the high school, these are separate from CEC. These are your own. Nobody here can access them. Nobody here can get into them, can do anything to help you with them. If you get locked out of them, you have to contact the college to the tech support to get back into them. So you'll want to keep a really close track of those numbers, those logins, and those passwords. They do, however, tend to think that they're super important and you have to change your password all the time. So I do recommend you having a note in your phone or a contact in your phone where if it makes you change your email or your password, you're keeping track of that very easily. Each of those has different accounts. So you got 2 college accounts because you are now a student of both colleges. And again, do not attach your CEC student email account to these so that you always can access them, because you could graduate here and go to seek other degrees or things to do at Front Range or Ames. So you want to make sure that you can always access those from your personal account for recovery. All right, so I mentioned a little bit about how we call our high school classes college prep, and I explained why that is because we want you to be preparing for the way college coursework works. Most of our classes are, again, semester based. There are some that are full year. You can tell those because they'll have an A or a B. So geometry A and B, you're taking geometry in a whole year long. And so some of those algebra 1, A and B. So there are a few classes that spread out over a year. And then we also have, some electives that you can take. Those are all going to be high school or college prep classes. And then typically what happens is you start there and then you move into a combination. So you'll have some high school classes and some college classes. Those college classes are going to be here. We call those bridge classes. So they are actual college classes, actual college curriculum, same thing you'd be getting if you were at the college with college instructors that are qualified by those colleges here on our campus. So they'll be either a Front Range class or an Ames class. It is not easier because you're in high school. It is all exactly the same content. The classes that we offer here are the classes that we know most students need, like college English or college algebra. Lots and lots of students need those, so we'll offer several sections of them so that we can get lots of students those bridge college classes. And then we can't offer all of them here, right? So you might need calculus-based physics, you and your friend, but that's not enough to fill up the whole class, right? So at some point, you may then move to an off-campus college class if it fits within your academic plan. However, if we offer a college class here, we have to prioritize that you take it here before we move you off campus because of the expense of that. So, but at some point, most students end up taking a college class or 2 at least off of campus. It is possible to get a degree here without moving off campus. And I've had some students who have done that too. So it just depends on what it is that you want to do. One thing we typically don't do, we don't have a student taking an off-campus college class before they can get there because you'll have to have your own transportation. So if you're one of those kids who's not sure you want to get a driver's license, that could impede your ability to go off campus. That could change the academic plan that you're on. So something you want to be aware of. Obviously, you're going to be older when you do that. I had one student who just refused to get his driver's license. And I was like, bro, I'm telling you, you got to go do calc-based physics like next year. So don't delay on that permit. Well, he did. And so he ended up taking the class at night so his mom could drive him. So he's just serious about not getting it. So there are some things you could work around, but something to keep in mind. And your advisor will be able to tell you whether the classes in your plan are looking like they need to be heading off campus as you get older. Okay, we have a bookstore in there. If you need a textbook for a class that we offer here, we will provide that for you. When you go off campus, we don't have those books. Well, let me change that. we might have those books. So what happens is you go figure out what the course materials are that are required, ask our bookstore if we have it, and if we have it, you can just borrow it, check it out, check it back in, super easy. If you don't, then there's a reimbursement, textbook reimbursement policy, which we can go over, and you can also find in the student resources page, but that's going to be a little ways down the road anyway, and your advisor can help you with that. We have a few laptops at the bookstore that are available for checkout, but they stay in the building. So we do not provide laptops to students. If you need a laptop in class, it will be provided to you in class. We have computer carts the department share, and they make their arrangements for how to use those. So you don't have to have a laptop. You are also welcome to bring your laptop. So if you have one, you want to bring it to class and you want to bring it every day, you're absolutely welcome to do that. But it is not a requirement, and we do not provide them. When you check these laptops out, they're really just for day use. Like I have, I got to put the finishing touches on this paper and get it submitted. And I have an extra half hour after I'm done eating that I can do that. So that's what it would, excuse me, that's what it would be used for. And then we do have some school supplies if you need an eraser, a pen or something, a notebook. And then we have a printer back there. Most of what we do is going to be digital submission anyway, but if you need things printed out, the bookstore can do that for you. All right, and we are so bougie here, we don't call our cafeteria a cafeteria, it's the bistro. So lunches are free in the state of Colorado. However, if you think you might qualify for free and reduced lunch, please go to our website and apply for it every single year because it comes with other benefits such as fee waivers. Graduation fees can be reduced or waived. College applications could have waived application fees if you can show that you have qualified for free and reduced lunch. So go do that anyway. It's not really so much about the lunch anymore, but about some other things. We have gluten-free options. And then if you want to give your kid, if they need extra food more than what is given to them for the portion for the day, they can buy extra food and you can send payment with them or you're welcome to put it into an account if you don't want to send cash or a credit card with them. And then that way they can only use it here instead of heading off to use it at Kohl's or something. All right. So communication here, we'll have a weekly newsletter that gets sent to you. As a parent, I would recommend that you just take a few minutes, maybe over your coffee on Saturday morning, to just scroll through that and see what's in there. Because there's a lot of cool things that are happening or going on that are coming up, opportunities. There's really no better way to convey those to you than just to put it together in a newsletter. We're hoping to shorten it this year so it's got more links to things rather than pages and pages, but it really is helpful and you'll be surprised at some of the cool things that you can learn from that. And then all students have a CEC email account. We talked about that already. And then we put TV monitors in the hallways that have announcements and updates. Excuse me. And then we have school accountability committee. That's sort of like our version of the PTO. Statistics show that if parents are involved in their student's school, they do better. So next time your kid gets an app, they're going to blame you for not helping at the school. So I'm just teasing. So, but we do have leadership opportunities if that's something that you really want to do. It's a great place to go and find out what's happening, a great place to connect with other parents, and to ask the questions like, what is going on with, or I heard this, or what's your plan for? Because leadership will always be at, like Mr. Pierce will always be at those meetings. And then you can have this a really great place to go. Also, we are not a neighborhood school, right? So everybody's school of choice is in. So we have a very large geographical area. So if you're involved in that, you might be able to find somebody who lives near you. It's a good way to connect because we are not connected by a specific geographical neighborhood. So I think it's a great way to do. So if you think you are interested in, you don't have to be on leadership just to attend. You're welcome to just come. But if that's something that interests you, there's an email address right there. Super easy, tecfc@gmail.com. All right. Oh my gosh, we're already at the end. So what questions do you guys have? Where did I fall down? Where did I not give you enough information? Any questions out there? Yes. the question is if bus stops have been set for Windsor transfers. No. So what you need to do is go to the website and you need to put in your request form. If you're interested in transportation, they will set bus stops based on the requests. So they don't set those ahead of time. They look and see what the need is, and then they set their bus stops. And we have 2 buses this year, so we get double the chances for double the bus fun. Any other questions? Okay. Well, if you discover that you have more questions, our advisors back here are happy to answer any questions that you might have. You could check your Wolf Welcome packet. You can also just store up your questions. You can save them for your advising appointment. And then next thing we're going to do is a campus tour. So we're not going to do class placement testing today because we're at the 4 o'clock. So again, if you did not get a link to schedule your placement testing, please let me know and we'll get you connected. And then our advisors are back here ready to take you on a tour. We got Sarah over here and Anna over here. And if you are interested in doing a tour, you can go ahead and stand up and then find yourself an advisor to take you on a tour. Sound good? Thanks for coming, you guys. We're looking forward to having you. We'll see you all August 10th for new student orientation.